Well, the Lyre guitar is in fact simply a guitar. It was made around 1800 by Clementi and Company in London, and it's one of a class of instruments that were made during that period, which were in a sense disguised almost as classical instruments rather than instruments of the 19th century. The lyre was a very ancient instrument which you see very often depicted on ancient Roman and Greek artworks. It's associated with the god Apollo, and at the top of what we refer to as the head or the pegboard, there is a little round sun with a face, and that represents the god Apollo. But as I say, it isn't really directly connected with the ancient classical world. It was simply a fashionable piece of furniture almost, rather than an instrument. But basically, it's a guitar.
It's such a beautiful shape, isn't it?
That is almost inherent to the guitars and how they're made. So there's a big construction fault in all of them, and you have the back and the front. The grain of the wood runs like this, and it's very thin, very, very thin. And then they put braces inside. So this one's got 3 braces, 1, 2, and 3. And those are running like this with the grain like that. So what happens is this part shrinks in this way, but the braces don't. So it self-destructs basically. So you have 2 ways that this phenomenon is kind of like get the cracks, or you get the braces coming through the sides. So it depends which one gives. So when the sides give, you have holes on the sides. Otherwise, this piece is plus. I mean, this one is a little extreme. I don't think I've seen one that bad before. But I even have an article about that phenomenon. I would like to have that photo. And I think in this one, it looks like there was a little bit of woodworm damage. So I guess it just helped. But yeah, like that's the braces just. And the big problem is the only way to put it back is removing the back, cutting the original braces to the new dimension, then close it down and glue new braces, or the same braces but shorter, or remove the originals, keep the originals so you know what's the actual dimension of the thing. And then put new braces. So it's always a big compromise with these things, because no matter what, you're going to lose original material. And it's the scary part of it is that it's, in a way, it's a process that never stops. I mean, of course, now it moves less than it was moving in the 1850s. But it still moves. So if you put it back together and you put new dimensions and so on, maybe in 20 years it's going to have another new crack. It's quite dramatic, and I think so. This one just went with the grain. This one was going with the grain, but because there is woodworm damage, then you get these lateral breaks that are not very common. So yeah, instead of just going down, I think that there were repairs to the woodworm, but not there. Look, it just goes. So it depends what do you want to do with it. I would say it's almost better just to leave it. I mean, it just assume.
I think it explains something about the construction, which is interesting, isn't it?
It is very interesting, yeah. Yeah, I call them self-destructive elements of 19th century guitar construction. And it is, like, there is nothing you can do about it. Like, you always find the problem, it's just how it manifests. This one is quite dramatic. Yeah, I think the best for this kind of object is just find the best packing materials that you can find and just pack it so it's tight and it's happy.
Yeah. So we were planning on putting this on display, but I think we could still put it on display and tell the story,
Yeah,
because people would be interested in that.
yeah, I think.
The concern is that, you know, it can look like it's not been cared for properly, but it's been held in
Yeah, no, and it's
perfect environmental conditions for years, you know.
it's not your fault.
No, it's interesting to know that.
The maker's fault, and probably not his fault because he learned that way.
Well, exactly, it's just the nature of the
Yeah.
There's a piece in it.
So nowadays, I mean, we were, one of our events, we had a guitar builder here downstairs demonstrating on all the structures inside, etc. How do they get around that now?
Well,
The old
I have to
structures.
say, many makers still today are making the same mistakes. So in 100 years, their guitars are going to break, but by then they're going to be dead, so they probably don't care. Some makers are trying different patterns with the bracing. So instead of having just like perpendicular, you get some diagonal bracing, and instead of getting it all the way to the sides, you cut it short. So if you leave some 4 millimeters on each side, that leaves some room for the thing to move.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to unglue from the brace rather than break,
Yeah.
and then you just glue them again. And it's one of those things. It happened to lutes as well. Lutes have that in the soundboard. But then there are treatises as early as like 1760 that say, like, if your lute is like that, every so often open the lead, the soundboard, and cut the sides because it's going to be gluing and pushing the sides. It's just structural.
Bailey's Guitars would love to know this. We'll have to send a report. It's a company called Bailey's Guitars. It's in Ayrshire, and they came and they brought all the equipment, and we had children in the audience who helped to shape the back of a guitar.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
it's part of the display, and I'm sure they would be absolutely fascinated to hear the story. So we'll pass this on to them. The event was called Making Guitars That Don't Cost the Earth.
Okay.
And they tried to save the planet by producing the guitars.
So apart from the backs, so this part here, it's unglued. That probably would be good to consolidate because it feels like it's partially unglued, and otherwise you're going to lose it like that.
And we don't have this part. So, you know, if something's come of it, you know, we patch it up, but we've not got that, so it must have been gone for decades.
Yeah, these I would say is, I mean, especially if you're going to display it, it's just a droplet of glue and a clamp.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I mean, the rest is the way it is.
That's so interesting. We thought this was going to be the biggest.
I mean, okay, my motto is, in musical instruments, everything can be fixed.
Yes.
But if you want it fixed, it can be fixed.
Yeah.
It's just probably not worth it. Not worth. And again, it would be a really intrusive procedure, like removing the whole back and chopping the original material. So what you're gaining is probably less than what you're losing by doing it. It can be done. I've seen it. I've done it myself. It just depending on what is that you want to tell the story of this thing.
And the intention is not to have this one played.
Yeah, what I would do for this play, I would recommend just surface cleaning, which can be done by you guys. Just smoke sponge and just be careful.
Smoke sponge, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Smoke sponge.
Use that for textiles.
Just because it's got a little soot, which I think is very normal in anything that was around in Scotland in the 19th century because soot was part of life. So I would try to remove a little bit of the soot without going too crazy, and then
So just use a glue gun or a small salt.
if you have a protein-based glue, like high glue or like rabbit skin, just a droplet in the back and then a clamp, just so you don't lose that part. But that can definitely be done in house where you can just. It's a little loose. Apart from that, it's in great shape.
It's such a beautiful shape, isn't it?
It is, it is.
This one always attracts attention because of its...
It's such a 19th century thing as well, because I mean it's just a guitar. It's a guitar that is disguised as a lyre because it was fashionable in the 19th century. The whole thing of Apollo and
Yeah, it's a pole.
yeah.
I've seen electric guitars with the same thing, the kind of lyre shape.
Yeah. So yeah, the soundboard is also unglued from the sides, but I would say that's probably better.
I think it's better left alone because it'll just put stress on it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, since you're not concerned about
No.
having it played or anything like it, it's just it's better so it doesn't break elsewhere.
It's going to
Yeah.
force it elsewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.